hips elevated pelvic floor contractions. So in that early postpartum period, it can be hard to find these muscles. And like I've said before, we can't strengthen a muscle if we can't find it. So the pelvic floor muscles, we want to get blood flow to that area, which is why we're working on contracting and relaxing those muscles to help healing. This is important both for a vaginal or a C-section delivery, okay? We still want those pelvic floor muscles had so much pressure down on them during pregnancy as your baby grew. So we want to make sure we connect to them postpartum. But elevating your hips can sometimes make it a little bit easier. So if you're having trouble in some of the other positions, feeling your pelvic floor, this is a great position. So you can elevate even on more pillows. I just have a couple pillows here. Put your feet on the couch or an ottoman or a chair, whatever you have, and then elevate those hips. So get a few pillows underneath you, and we're just gonna work on breathing. Inhale, let the pelvic floor relax, and then exhale, you're gonna squeeze and lift up and in, okay? So hands on rib cage again. Inhale, exhale, squeeze and lift up and in. So hopefully, if you weren't feeling it before, you're feeling it better here. It might take a little bit of practice, but that's the goal with this position, is to really feel it a little bit more, let gravity help you a little bit. So inhale, expand through the rib cage, let the pelvic floor lengthen. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, from the bottom up. Pelvic floor lifts. I can feel my lower belly tighten when I lift my pelvic floor slightly, and rib cage comes down. One thing I want to say about lifting the pelvic floor is to get those deep abdominals, which is what we're trying to do now, it's really just a gentle lift. You don't need to lift all out. When you lift all out, then you're going to get all the other abdominals working as well to do an all-out max contraction of your pelvic floor muscles. For these particular exercises early on, we're just trying to isolate those deepest muscles. So just a very light, gentle, think 50%, maybe a little bit more for your pelvic floor, squeeze and lift. Okay, so don't do it all out, because then you're probably going to end up tensing and clenching your butt. We don't want that. Butt should stay out of it. Only your pelvic floor should be working. Okay, and then your deep abs and your ribs coming down and in on that exhale. So again, inhale through your nose. Rib cage expands, belly fills with air, pelvic floor lengthens down. Exhale, pelvic floor lifts, lower belly flattens, rib cage comes down and in. So if you're someone who has really flared ribs still, or maybe one versus the other, I have some videos on rib flare at the end, but all of these breathing exercises, that's part of the goal, and why they're so important is because we can train our rib cage to come back down and in, and get our core better engaged to help keep our rib cage in proper alignment, which is going to help with your core healing, especially with the diastasis or pelvic floor issues. So one last cue I want to give you is imagine your pelvic floor muscles as a flower. Okay, so on your inhale, that flower is blooming and blossoming open, and then on your exhale for this particular one, then you're going to contract, squeeze, and lift up and in, okay? So, but on that inhale, visualize your pelvic floor muscles as a flower blossoming. That's gonna help those muscles relax, okay? And when we work more on just that relaxation piece, we actually want that flower to bloom and blossom and stay open. But for this particular exercise, we're also working on the contraction. So then we're squeezing and lifting up and in. So inhale, let those pelvic floor muscles relax. Exhale, squeeze up and in. So give that a try. Hopefully it's a little bit easier if you were having trouble feeling at some of the other positions.